hopefully. And we're live! Hello, people of the internet. Welcome to Unleash TV. We're a little early this week because Microsoft. Actually, no, it's because we have. Well, I won't be able to attend Unleash TV. I record Unleash TV on Sunday, so we're recording a little bit early. So I've annoyed Alan all the way from Singapore to join us a little bit early this week, and we have Atif all the way from Bombay. What's up? I mean Mumbai.
Hey guys.
What's up,
Bombay,
Atif?
Bombay.
How's it going?
Hey guys.
Don't start that.
It's
How's it going, man?
in Bombay.
How's it going? What's new in your world?
Well, I'm still getting adjusted to the fact that Alvin is using an S4.
I know, right? That was the shock of the century. I mean, bigger than Nokia being bought by Microsoft. Was Alvin switching over to the
This
Galaxy
week,
S4 phone.
I've become part of the flip cover.
And yeah, he's
Segment
like
of
it's
the
his
phone.
transition. It's his transition into into complete Samsung hood.
Yeah.
Oh no, what's happening, man? What's happening?
It says
He used to be cool.
Samsung and Galaxy S4 on the front.
Oh wow, just in case, because
Yeah.
all the designs are the same, so you have to
Because
show.
maybe you may
right out in
forget what
front.
phone you have, so it tells you right there.
Well, I mean, all the Galaxy phones look alike, so there might be people who forget which phone they have. I'm just saying.
But hey, this week we've
So
got
it's
a
been
Galaxy phone that looks kind of different.
yes, the Galaxy K Zoom was announced this week. We'll talk about it later on. It's basically supposed to be kind of, I don't know, what's it supposed to be? Is it technically a competitor to the Lumia
S4
1020?
Zoom Plus.
It's kind of like the S4 Zoom, but it has specs that are almost the same as the S4 Zoom. But it's slightly smaller, slightly more pocket friendly. I would say that. Yeah. It still has 10x optical zoom, which is cool. 20 megapixel camera. I don't know, man. Do you think? I don't know. Do you think this is gonna sell at all? Because I haven't really
No.
seen any Galaxy S4 zooms in the wild. I don't know. What do you think about it? You used to be a Samsung fan once upon a time, Matt.
So, I think people who like the 808 Pure View and don't hate Samsung might consider it. It's a camera-centric phone.
Yeah,
It is a
and
camera
I'm glad that they are still working on this idea because it always takes some time for these things to become mature and
No,
with
it's
this
the
one,
third iteration.
yeah,
They had the Galaxy camera, then the S4 Zoom, now this.
and with this one it finally looks kind of normal, right? It no longer has the
It
has the
doesn't
huge
exactly
lens.
look normal.
It doesn't have the huge lens
I mean,
pouch on the back anymore, which is more than can be said for all its predecessors. From the front, it looks like any
Yeah.
other phone, and I was surprised at how similar this thing looks to the 808 PureView. Like it's almost like an enlarged 808 PureView in terms of the shape and the profile. And nobody really complained about the camera bump on that 808, did they? So I really don't think that.
The Galaxy S4 effect.
No, I'm pretty sure a lot of people complain about
But that makes sense.
about the. Yeah, you know what? Let's move on from that. I mean, it's a very niche phone. I don't know how it'll do. Hopefully we will get one for review, but I wouldn't depend on that because Samsung doesn't really like us. So let's see.
In other hardware news, this week we've got a new variant of the HTC One M8, and it's the Harman Kardon Edition. And it's available only through Sprint in the US, which is, I think, the US fourth largest mobile carrier, which means that it is the smallest national local carrier in the US. So
I feel like this is a silly thing to do because why
Yeah.
announce such a cool version of a phone that's already
why not?
kind of.
Why
I mean,
not
why
make
and
this
why?
the phone that we all get to begin with?
You know what? Maybe okay. This is what my explanation is. I think HTC has such a huge falling out with Beats Audio that they've decided to experiment with different audio manufacturers, different audio partners, and just be like, okay, let's see if we partner with you for like this small little carrier here in this corner of the world. Though America gets everything, so I guess it's not
But
a
do
small
you
carrier.
realize that that even when it was even when HTC had this partnership with Beats Audio, Beats only contributed software enhancements and audio equalizers to the effort. The speakers were still under HTC's purview, and with this Harman Kardon Edition, I'm not sure what exactly they bring apart from, again, software equalizers and audio enhancers and stuff.
Apparently, the speakers are slightly better, but I haven't been able to find. See, this is something that's only released in the US, so no US blog has actually covered that aspect of it, like whether the whether the boom sound speakers are actually tuned differently to. And you know, one thing that's really annoying now, and I'm really annoyed by this. There's an actual black version of the HTC One now.
Yes.
And I'm pissed off because I chose the gunmetal gray, which is neither gunmetal nor gray. And now there's an actual black version of the HTC One, and I like black color phones, which is
I
ironic
do.
considering how
In fact,
bright my other phones are.
I think the black HTC One is now my favorite color variant of the four, right? Because now there's black gunmetal, which is not gunmetal. There's silver, and there is gold. So this is my favorite, and I'm sad that it's only available on the smallest national carrier in the US.
Yeah. Oh well, what you gonna do? In Singapore-related news, the Sony Xperia T2 Ultra was released. Now, in case you were wondering if there ever was a T2 itself, non-Ultra, there wasn't.
No, and there wasn't a T1 either. So we are going a bit further ahead here. But but
was there ever? There was no Xperia T or T1.
There was the Xperia T. It was the really boring phone from the second half of 2012.
Holy crap! I can't believe I don't remember that.
But the T2 Ultra is the 6-inch 720p phablet from Sony. So it's Sony's Lumia 1320, and it has a 13 megapixel autofocus camera on the back, which is more than can be said for that 1320. And in addition, I've got Hangouts going off over here, but in addition, it has a dual SIM version as well that is coming out at the same time, and it's $50 cheaper. The T2 Ultra will cost $600 Singapore dollars without contract, while the dual version does not support LTE, which is kind of a big deal here, but comes in at 550 Singapore dollars. Now,
is it 720p or 1080p?
720p. So that's not a super high pixel density that you have there. But when I checked out the phone for myself at an event yesterday, I didn't think the screen was too bad. So there's that. And also I have to say that the dual SIM version of this one has one of the longest names that I've ever known a phone to have. It's the Sony Xperia T2 Ultra Duo.
I'm sorry, that was wow. Can you imagine somebody going into a store and being like, "Hey, do you have the Sony Xperia T2 Ultra Duo?" "Yes, I do have the Sony Xperia T2 Ultra Duo." "Cool. How much is the Sony Xperia T2 Ultra Duo?" Never mind. It's just not worth it. Wow. Okay. Imagine if they bring that to America on a carrier. Holy crap. Let's move on from there. In app-related news. Now, this was the big news of today. Snapchat, everyone's favorite creepy picture sending app that automatically deletes a picture after you exit the conversation. Also got video messaging and IM support today. The apps haven't actually been updated yet, but the beta versions of the Android app do have the feature already.
The iOS app has been updated.
I tried.
Oh, okay.
So me and my boyfriend were sitting at home earlier, and then we saw this news and decided that okay, let's give Snapchat a try. And so I've given it a try, and I have to say that it has the worst user interface of any Android messaging app that I've ever come across. It's so freaking confusing.
No, have you seen the video of the new beta? I downloaded just because I saw the UI.
No,
really?
I don't know whether I just installed the version that comes in the Play Store, but
Oh, that's the beta version. Yeah,
so like it first it's yellow.
So
First
Mike,
it's yellow
Mike has the.
and has a bunch of ghost pictures on it, and also it opens directly to the camera which you can't see right now
So you
because
can send people pictures of your junk, so
and,
you can
and
like
then
immediately
what are
send
you
them.
supposed to do with this?
You're supposed to send
Take a
people.
picture, and then what? And then you realize that okay, I can swipe over there, but there's no visual indication that I can swipe again, or any indication of how to get to my messages list because apparently it's over there. And then there's a arrow in the top corner that's the Android up button, and when you tap it, it goes back to the camera, which is in the wrong direction from the
I'm sorry.
arrow
That's funny.
from the way the
Well-
arrow is pointing. So I have to say that
so
in
Mike-
every way, this UI is a nightmare.
Alvin, but the preteens of USA can understand it, and they use it all the time.
Yeah, if the preteens can understand it, I'm sure it's doing okay. Mike from
thought
Unleash the
it was
Phones has
just
been
my
using the beta
Samsung
version.
being weird.
It's probably a Samsung being weird. But Mike from Unleash the Phones has been using the beta version for a little over a day now. So our post about the Snapchat news does have a picture of the redesigned interface. It looks kind of okay. Moving on, Google search for Android has been updated with the abilities to remember where you park. Now, this is very cool because it's something that's actually really useful, though I don't think it's available outside of the US, unfortunately. I'll be happy to learn if it is available. But this is amazing. Google Now, or Google Search, or whatever you want to call that service that
Google
remembers
Now.
this.
Google
Okay,
now.
so Google Now will remember when you are in a car and you stop in your car and you get out of your car. What I want to know though is how will it know if you haven't just hitched a ride with a friend of yours and gotten out of the car and moved on? Will it still remember where you got off of that car and say, "Hey, this is where you parked"?
How about
Um,
taxis?
I don't know. That would be funny. So I want to see. I want to see what feedback on this is so far. It seems interesting though, for sure.
Yeah, if you drive.
Especially if you drive and if you park in a very crowded
If you're
parking
in,
lot
in the
Kuwait,
US,
with the
most
amount of
people
cars.
drive. So. Unless you're in a big city, everyone has to drive.
So I'm sure it'll come in very useful. Let's see how it goes along for people that use it. Another weird thing
also-
that Google did this week.
One sec. There's another update for Google now, by which you can just say turn flight mode on, turn Wi-Fi off, do this, do that, and apparently that works too in the
Wow.
latest beta version of Google Search.
That's cool.
Yeah, if that's
Imagine
implemented well, that would be useful.
Imagine you're in a plane and the flight attendant comes to you before takeoff and says, "Could you please turn your phone off or put it on flight mode?" And then you go up to your phone and you're like, "Turn flight mode on," and your phone goes, "Yeah, okay, sure." How pissed off would that flight attendant be? Like, "Oh, come on, just flip the switch already." Yeah, well, that's cool. I never knew that was possible as well. Google also did something very strange this week. They released separate apps for Google Docs and Sheets. So there's a separate Docs app and there's a separate Sheets app. Which is strange because previously Google Drive was able to create documents and Google bought Quick Office, yeah. So that's also been available free as a download for Android phones. So I don't know, is this Google releasing their own apps to take on Microsoft's Office and
Yes.
Apple's iOS apps? So,
Yes.
yeah. Kind of looks like it, doesn't it?
And I think they're just trying to make it clearer what their productivity offering is because Google Drive isn't exactly a very clear name for a
That's true.
document editing thing. So I think that this provides some much needed clarity to what exactly they are offering because if they want to attract new users, then they need to actually explain what they've got. And Google Drive isn't a good brand for that.
Yeah, especially when you consider how on Windows Phone there's Nokia Drive or Here Drive, which is a navigation app.
Hey, the average person doesn't even know about that.
Oh, you never know. Maybe somebody who bought a Windows Phone and has been using it for a year and then goes over to Android will be like, "Oh, look, a navigation app," and then he'll open it up and be like, "Whoa, what's going on? What is it?" Yeah, so maybe I guess it's a good thing. Let's see. Moving on to our favorite company in the entire world, Microsoft has released a Movie Moments app for Windows Phone 8.1. Now, the thing about this is it's only available for Windows 8.1 users. So unless you've updated to the preview, you can't try it out. It's an interesting app. It allows you to make short 60-second videos, which I guess are easier to share, but I don't get the point of it. I mean,
Why don't you just share the video that you
why
shot?
don't you- what? I mean, why don't you just trim the video down if you have to, if you want to share it easier?
Or
I
why
don't know.
don't you just post a video on Instagram, then you have 15 seconds to say whatever
Because
you
you
want to say?
can't post to Instagram yet from Windows Phone unless you buy 6 tag.
Oh
Mm,
dear,
mm,
Windows
mm.
Phone. Oh, so
Maybe
Maybe this
sad.
is maybe this is Microsoft taking on HTC's Zoe feature or video highlights feature.
But video highlights is automatic.
I
This,
know it is. Okay, never mind. Like, let's move on to the other app they released. They also released Reading List for Windows Phone 8.1. If you are a Windows 8 user on your computer, you probably already heard of it, Reading List. It's a cool-ish app that
just
allows you to
use
read things later.
postcards.
So if you don't, because there's no official Pocket app
Oh,
for Windows
then
Phone.
get with the program and
No, but this is Microsoft showing how Windows Phone users can also do the cool things that other kids do, but with their own offering
Hey, for
instead.
people like Yash, it's good, right? They have their Windows.
Yes, Yash people like Yash from UnleashThePhones would love this. I bet Yash is using it right now wherever he is. He probably started reading something on his Windows 8 computer and then continued reading it on his Windows Phone 8.1 device because this is how it's supposed to be used. You can read something on Windows 8 and then
I
continue
didn't
reading it
even know
on the go.
Windows 8 had reading lists.
So yeah, it does. I remember this because it was one of the few apps that popped up randomly on the 2520, and I was like, oh, what does this app do? Not that I ever used it, but it's there. So yeah, Microsoft also did another cool thing this week. They made Skype Group Video Calling free for everybody. Finally, now just to show you how long it took, Google Hangouts and free group video calls started out about almost 2 years ago, almost a year and a half to 2 years ago.
Yeah,
So
welcome
More
to
than 2 years.
2014.
It was 2011.
yeah, so it's been a while. So imagine that boardroom meeting. Hey guys, I think we should make group video calling free. Okay, let's get set on that. Okay, 2
2 years
years later.
Is it just
Hey
me
guys,
or
we finally managed it.
has Skype's product really floundered since Microsoft bought them?
Yes, and that's exactly the problem because everybody is now, even we are using Google Hangouts right now for this show. Because previously, as some of you who have watched a lot of video podcasts before, a lot of people used to use Skype group calls to record their podcasts, but it was a real pain. At least with Google Plus, with Google Hangouts, you can. Oh, look, everyone's drinking water while I'm talking. You can automatically record a show and it gets published to YouTube automatically, and it all works out really well. And not to mention, you can have a Google Hangout video call from your iOS or Android device, and even from a web browser. So you don't have to install an app for that on your computer. Skype, on the other hand, has a really clunky interface on everything, um, and you have to
Even
install
Windows,
the app.
by the way.
Oh yeah, and on Mac, holy crap, I hate the Skype app on Mac.
Hey, Skype for Windows 8 is quite interesting.
I don't
I've
care
never
about
used
Mac.
Skype on Windows 8. I've literally never used it. I'm sure I will try that one day. But yeah, it's no surprise that everybody has moved on, and 2 years is a long time in the tech world. I mean, everybody's using. I know people that use Viber and Google Hangouts and are very happy with that setup. They would never use Skype at all. And these are I know Windows Phone users who prefer to use Google Hangouts on their computer
Why
instead
do
of
they have a
Skype on their
Windows
phone.
phone?
Because it was the cheapest thing they could get at that price range, I think. So yeah, I mean, Microsoft. I wish them
One of the
luck.
story is if Microsoft buys over your company, you're screwed.
Basically,
Yep.
that's kind of gonna be awkward for.
Talking about people who've been bought over by Microsoft.
Oh yeah. So um, as you guys know, the whole nice segue by the way. As you guys know, the whole Microsoft buying Nokia deal completed last week. This week, the
Nokia
head
is
of.
moving on.
Well, Nokia is moving on, yeah. Nokia appointed a new CEO, but this is Nokia, the company that does not make phones. The remaining part of the company that now is consisted of Nokia, Siemens division, Networks division, and Hero Maps and patents and stuff. This company appointed a new CEO this week, and his name is Rajeev Suri. He's strangely similar to me, except that he's in much better shape. But he's
Oh,
also from Kuwait, and I mean, brought up in Kuwait, and went to the same university as I did. So I have a bone to pick with Nokia. What the hell, man?
I think your university is going to become quite famous because it has
It
produced two
is.
CEOs in the short span of
I
time.
know. The Nutella guy and this guy are both from
is it a
Pakistan
conspiracy
University.
theory going out that Nutella manipulated
Not
the
Nutella.
Nutella?
Suri is a
No,
Trojan
no,
horse sent by. Oh,
no. The fact that since he's a college classmate, he's put him over there.
oh
Oh,
yeah, that would be. You never know. You never know the way these things go. And they're both in the same shape. And I spent years trying to get in the same shape as Stephen Elop to become Nokia's new CEO. And now I'm offended. So yeah, so Nokia, the company that doesn't make phones anymore, has a new CEO. He made a very dramatic video where he was very serious about everything that's gonna happen and how they have a clear
And
vision and
basically, they are going to be a
investors.
company that's not focused on consumers anymore. They're
Yes.
basically going to play in the B2B and the enterprise space.
Yes. They also posted their quarterly results, which we'll talk about later on in the show. Interesting
talking
though is that, yeah,
talking about Stephen Elop, I read an article the other day that he was paid $35 million for his
to leave
switch.
Nokia. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to cover that, but yeah, he got a huge paycheck in the whole transition from Nokia to Microsoft. It's called a golden parachute apparently,
Mm.
and
So it seems like we have a trend here because each time a mobile company doesn't really work out as far as its performance in the consumer market goes, they decide, let's become an enterprise-focused company. Motorola became an enterprise-focused company after they sold the mobile unit to Google, and then Google sold it to Lenovo. They have and even Siemens, back when Siemens decided to stop making phones in the early part of the last decade, they became an enterprise-focused company as well.
this
So
is this is really sad because my first phone ever was a Siemens phone. My second phone onwards was a Nokia phone, and now I'm using an HTC
both of
One. So
those
I'm kind of
brands
I'm
don't
kind of
exist
worried.
anymore, and soon HTC will not exist either.
No, come on, why? As long as they don't release a gigantic, ugly steel version of the HTC One M8, which, oh, that was also a rumor this week that there's going to be. I'm sorry, we're going off topic here, but this
Yeah,
has to be said. There's a rumor that there's a HTC One M8 Max coming along, and there's already a rumor of a plastic HTC One M8, and there's a rumor of a HTC One M8 Prime, which is going to have a 2K
they
display.
don't know what they are doing. If all these devices actually are true and do come out, it just shows that they have no idea what they are doing at all.
But the funniest thing is that there's also going to be an HTC One M8 Mini. Oh my God, that's going to be hilarious. I can't wait to see what will happen. Because as yeah, off topic, never mind. Also returning to Nokia news, apart from them appointing a new CEO, Nokia's former CEO, Stephen Elop, and the guy who's now in charge of the phone division and Xbox and something
Yeah.
else. He
Phones,
posted.
Surface, Xbox hardware.
Yes. He posted an AMA, well, an Ask Me Anything but on Nokia Conversations. So it technically doesn't count as an
Yeah.
AMA because because all you couldn't really ask him anything because technically all the questions were moderated before it got to him.
Yeah.
But he
And
did answer some.
and there was a photo posted of him doing the AMA, and he was wearing this blue round neck tee over his
Yes, the day one shirt.
usual long sleeved businessman shirt, and I
With
was
a really
just like,
picturesque background.
Yeah.
and I literally laughed because He looks so ridiculous.
Did you see the picture of him and Nutella on the
Yes.
on this mountain?
For the romantic one.
It was really romantic, wasn't it? It was so romantic.
Someone photoshopped him. He's holding a heart. He's
Flower,
holding a heart.
I seriously saw that picture, and the first thing, I didn't think anything else. The first thing I saw when I saw that picture was, "Aw," because it was
The
so
first thing I
romantic.
thought when I saw that picture was, did they pose in front of a green screen because the background looks so...
I know. Man, we should have had a special show just on that picture. I feel we could have called Miss Jen on and a couple other friends of the show. It would have been funny. We should do that. Let's do that
But
next.
basically, they won't call the phones Microsoft Mobile anything, which is good because that would be a disastrous brand. But they also won't be using Nokia for long, so they're still leaving the door open on what these phones will be called exactly.
So this doesn't surprise me because, as we know, Microsoft is terrible at branding. Terrible at branding. We've seen them go from Metro UI, which is cool, to modern design UI, which is horrible. Nobody even uses it
The
anymore.
Windows Store apps.
Yes, the Windows Store apps. Well, they couldn't do anything about that. We've seen them go from, well, they invented Bing, which is a terrible name for a service.
But before that, it was Windows Live Search, and then before that, it was MSN
And
Search.
don't forget MSN Messenger to MSN Live Messenger to Live Messenger to MSN
Windows
Messenger.
Live Messenger,
To Windows, yeah,
Microsoft Messenger, and
Microsoft
then
is
now it's all
terrible
just
branding. My favorite Microsoft branding so far has to be Xbox to Xbox 360 to Xbox One because that makes sense to whoever came up with these brands.
But at least they got the name Cortona, right? That was the perfect.
Yes, that is the one thing they got. Although I have heard different accent pronunciations of that word, and it does not
Cortona.
sound. Yeah, it sounds funny. But hey, as long as it works, as long as they decided on one name.
I like the Surface brand. I don't know about you,
Please don't
but
say
I
that.
really like that
Please don't
brand.
say that. No, I refuse to buy a Surface phone. If you say, here's the new Surface 930, I will say, that's nice. I'm moving on now. And can you imagine? I don't
I
know.
think what will probably happen is that they will continue to use the Lumia name and the number. So the
Yes.
box will have a Microsoft logo on it, sure, but
If
then the
you've
phone will
noticed-
be known as the Lumia whatever.
Yes. If you've noticed, several Nokia people's LinkedIn profiles have been changed to say so and so at Lumia product division or so and so at Lumia products. So there's a lot of the word Lumia has been thrown around, but we still don't know what will happen to, for example, the Nokia X line of Android phones, the Asha phones, I don't think people at Microsoft can even pronounce the word Asha, so I'm sure that's going to be renamed to like what?
And the Nokia X will be discontinued by the second half of the year.
I'm trying to think of a stereotypical American female name instead of Asha. Why can't I not think of any name? I don't know. It'll be some stupid name that they'll rename it to because no one can pronounce Asha. But yeah, I'm all for giving Microsoft time to come up with a good brand name. Seriously, it's
And call
scary.
it the Nokia Anna.
The return of Anna. Well, I don't know. Let's just see where it goes because at this point there's no point. There's really no point speculating because Microsoft. You never know what Microsoft will do. But
They probably
but
don't
the
know
thing,
themselves.
They probably don't know themselves. Yeah. What's interesting though is that there's a lot of confusion over who gets to use the Nokia name and for how long. Now that's annoying because according to the terms that were announced last year when they announced the acquisition, Microsoft would not be able to use the Nokia name on smartphones, but they would be able to use it on their feature phones. So we'd see the Nokia Asha line still released with the Nokia branding, and we'd see feature phones like the Nokia feature phones, which are S40 but not Asha phones, still have that branding. But now there's reports that Microsoft can use the Nokia name on smartphones as well, and the Nokia X line of phones. So everyone's just really confused right now, and I'm kind of annoyed that nobody asked about Nokia's accessories because Nokia has made really nice accessories in the last couple of years. The the Monster, in partnership with Monster, they made the Purity Pros. They have the BH905s, which are the first noise cancelling headphones, which could be used wireless and with the wire.
The Qi chargers.
Yeah, their chargers are really nice. Their portable chargers are also really nice. I mean, they have a lot of really nice accessories, but nobody asked about that, and I'm kind of annoyed. And I asked about that, but my question wasn't asked to Mr.
I think they just don't have the answers for them right now.
Yeah. Oh. So basically, the AMA didn't really result in much.
Someone
new
asked an interesting question about this. He said that since you've killed Migo and Symbian, I mean, he basically asked him, why did you kill Migo and Symbian, or something to that extent.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I saw that. Yeah, he gave a good question. So somebody asked a really like I wouldn't have asked that question to Elon because it was really rude. But he was like, hey, way to go! You destroyed Nokia and you didn't choose Vigo and blah blah blah. So way to go. So Elon actually replied pretty well. He said, hey, we had to choose something better than Migo because Migo wasn't ready at that point of time to compete with Android. And
yeah, we all know the internal story of Migo because it all came out soon after the platform was killed. So it showed a huge, complicated mess of internal strife and inefficiencies. And I just think that for people who still feel that way, they are living in a dreamland. Because are you really kidding me? Are you really expecting either of those platforms to still be to still be competitive today? I mean, even 2011, they were already Symbian was so ancient that I'm sorry all about Symbian readers and everybody who likes Symbian, but there was a period when I just decided to stop using Symbian phones. And you know why? Because they were it was like being in the Soviet Union in the 1980s. Alright? You looked at all the wonderful advances that was happening elsewhere, but not on your platform.
That's an interesting analogy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I just got distracted by Twitter. Nokia Connects on Twitter is now just @_connects. So it's happened. Nokia name is leaving all of their properties one by one. All right, let's move on. That's breaking news for you people watching the show right now. Where were we? Okay, we were moving on to around the corner news. Motorola is announcing a new smartphone on May 13th. This phone is apparently going to be priced for all, so we're assuming it's a affordable version.
And we know that we are going to see the Moto E, which is a lower cost variant of the Moto G.
Pretty much confirmed at this point, yeah. It's going to be an even more affordable version of the Moto G. Of course, you never know with Motorola. They might just announce something brand new, but everyone's
I'm
saying
hoping for a Moto X successor, but I don't think it's going to come to India so soon.
Yeah, so the funny thing is that they're having an event in London and an event right here in India, in Delhi. So that seems interesting. I don't know. Let's see what they have in store.
It's rumored to be the Moto X Plus One, but we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll announce that. And you know what's funny? What's funny is
X Plus One.
That'd be a funny name, right? I mean, what's really funny though is that today, right now, as we speak, there's a 24-hour US only sale going on for the Moto X, where you can get the Moto X for just like $200. I think.
300.
No, 300. Oh, okay, yeah, 300 for the 16 GB version, which is really cheap actually.
For the record, that's cheaper than the Nexus 5.
Yeah, so maybe they're just trying to get rid of all the old stock before before the big announcement. Who knows? Let's see. Apart from that,
I think Moto X is doing in the US is you can buy a Moto X with your college branding, and they already have all the college logos saved, and they make a customized back cover for you with your college on it.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. That is actually interesting.
That was really cool. Huh.
Yeah.
LG G3 will be announced on the 27th of May, so that's when we'll see the successor to the G2 that CJ still very much loves. And
yeah. Well, here's the thing that I'm a little afraid of with the LG G3. The rumors of the LG G3 are that it'll have a 2K resolution display, which is nice and all, but nobody really needs 2K displays, and that means the price of this thing is going to be insane.
I want to see 2K displays. I
But
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like
Also,
it's gonna push prices of flagship phones
That's what we
even
said about
higher.
1080p, but then everybody kind of moved on.
Yes, but
no, but
1080p was fine. You didn't need more than 1080p, right? I mean, do you ever have you ever all three of us have 1080p phones right now. Have you ever looked at it and said, "Huh, I can see a pixel now"?
nope.
No.
I'd be happy with 720p right now, to be honest.
See,
Because
Atif is right. Atif knows
and
what he's talking about.
if the G3 has a 2K display, first of all, that means the screen size is going to be at least 5.5 inches. It's not
Mhm.
going to be anything less than that,
So that's
which
another
means
thing.
battery life is going to take a hit, which means it's not going to be as smooth as a 1080p
You know,
display.
you know
So
what? LG is
so
great at doing all these things first. So let them do it
But it's
first.
not. They're not first.
When
Oppo already has the 7A out with the 2K.
when everything else has caught up with and refined the 2K screens for their own use, then you know we will be in a better place because sure, 2K displays are going to bring all these disadvantages, and LG is going to walk right into those disadvantages because they want to come out with a 2K screen phone so early. But well, when everyone else, such as Sony and HTC and Samsung and so on, actually get around to doing 2K screen phones, they are going to be more mature than this LG G3, and so they'll be in a better place.
But that being said, Atif is right. You know, the Snapdragon 801 processor, that if they're going to use that, it's going to be pushing more pixels. Like,
This phone
Over time.
can record 4K video. What screen do we
yes,
have that can watch 4K video?
that's true. That's unnecessary. I'm also against 4K video recording, because if you record a 1 minute 4K video on your 16 GB of internal memory phone, you're gonna need to clear some space out after a little while. But
450
but
MB per
2K,
minute or something.
I know, right? But for 2K displays is, see, in terms of benchmarks also, for example, the G3 would suffer because it's pushing a
As
lot more
about
pixels.
benchmarks, they are all
I'm
going
just
to be
saying. I'm just
aimed at.
saying.
It's about average smoothness. It's not going to feel as smooth as a 1080p phone.
I don't know. I'm just a little worried about this. I
See,
feel
I've
like it's
been
too early
I've been
for
using the
2K.
6-inch LG G Flex, and this has a Snapdragon 800 processor with a 720p display. And this phone flies. It can play the best games possible with not even a frame drop at all. It's unbelievably smooth. And I mean, if people still have flagships, Snapdragon 800 flagships and 720p displays, it would be so much better for everyone.
I love that. I love that in the last 1 year, Atif likes LG now, and Alvin is using a Samsung phone for no reason at all, and I'm back on HTC. So hey, way to go! Oh, and we all like Windows Phone now because of 8.1.
Oh, you
So
know what has a 720p screen and a Snapdragon 800 apart from the LG G Flex? The
The second
Z1
one,
Compact.
the Z1 Compact. Yes, that's also another really great performer. So anyway, we'll see what the LG G3 turns out to be this May 27th.
You know what I'm certain it will have?
What?
Vienna Boys Choir ringtone.
Oh no! Oh, I hate those ringtones. Oh God, those ringtones were. Whose bright idea was that? Why would they? The last thing I want in the morning is to be woken up by Vienna choir boys singing "Good Morning" to me.
So
Oh my
if you have the G Flex and you use a prepaid connection, then you cannot get rid of the Vienna Boys Choir. Every
Oh,
time you check your
What?
balance, that life is good comes.
Oh
You
my
cannot remove
God!
that.
Oh God!
There's no way to remove it unless you
That
boot
would
your phone.
destroy me. That would kill my soul. I would commit suicide after. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that sucks. Oh well, that's. I'm sorry. It's so funny. I hope the G2 does not get an update that does that, because I will hate it. Let's move on to financial news. This is kind of the boring section of the program, so we will skim over this
yeah.
really quickly. Nokia announced their Q1. Okay, Nokia announced their last quarterly results as a phone company for
And
Q1.
basically they sold less Lumias than last quarter and less Lumias than last year.
Yes, phone sales are down 30%, but I don't think this is a huge surprise, and the reason for that is if you had just announced that your company is going to be acquired by Microsoft, of all the companies in the entire world, if I say, hey, we're going to be acquired by Microsoft, I'm sure our readership will drop over the next 4 months, because everyone's going to be like, oh, we don't trust them anymore. They're just going to talk to Microsoft. So it's not a big surprise that many people were not willing to bank on a future with Microsoft because they don't know how Microsoft will run the company versus Nokia used to. So it's really not a big surprise that
I would disagree with you here.
why why
I don't think the average person in the street knows or cares that Nokia is going to be bought by Microsoft. When they go to buy a phone, they're not going to be worrying about what corporate decisions are going to be made in the future. They're not happy with the phones. I mean, last year this time the 520 had just come out, and it was a competitive device at that time. If you look at the last quarter, I mean, which devices are there which actually compel people to buy them?
None.
Maybe the 1020. Other than that, what else?
No, the
But I'm
1020 is a niche phone. I don't understand people who say that the 1020 is going to save Windows Phone because the 1020 is the Draxiv K zoom of Windows phones.
but much better looking and much more modern. Yeah, but I still feel like there were enough average consumers, or at least if they weren't the consumers, then there were probably people at the phone stores or people that they knew who said, "Hey, you know that company's going to be owned by Microsoft in a
Okay,
little while."
I have had conversations with people who have kind of told me that it's Nokia going away, and then I said, well, they are not going to make phones anymore because that entire thing is going over to Microsoft. So there is some awareness of what is happening with Nokia because Nokia themselves have made a big deal out of it, and I'm sure that anybody who reads the business section of a newspaper will know that this is happening to Nokia.
But will it affect their buying decision?
It won't, but then what affects their buying decision would be Windows Phone, and that's where I agree with you as well. So Windows Phone it has such a tainted name. I don't know whether it's the brand or it's the user interface or it's Microsoft, but basically nobody's interested in Windows Phone. Anytime, and it's true because anytime I get a Windows Phone for review, no one's interested in it.
That is true. I have to agree. Yeah, that is true. The
And
only
finally,
Windows Phone I've actually gotten a lot of interest in is the 1020 because of the back. Because people see the back and they're like, "Wow, is that the 1020?" And then they'll take a picture and then we'll move on. Yeah, you saying, Atif?
interestingly, the average person doesn't call it a Windows phone. They're like, "Oh, you have a Windows device. Oh,
Yes.
I want a Windows."
Yes, that is true. That's something I've noticed as well. Oh well, moving on to LG. They also announced their Q1
12.3
results.
million smartphones shipped, which is quite decent.
It's not too bad.
Looks like
That's-
people like Vienna Boys choir ringtones. At least 12.3.
I think at the end of this year, Alvin's gonna be using an LG phone. I feel like that's gonna happen because he's. I'm just saying. Let's see. Their favorite competitor in the entire world, Samsung, also announced their Q1 2014 results. Their profits are down and phone sales are down slightly, but they're still making more phones than or making more profit than anybody else in the phone business right now. Main topics. Okay, now this is the fun part. Alvin,
See, can we just back up a little bit? So
Right.
Samsung, people have made a really huge deal about the fact that Samsung's profits have plateaued, and they're like, "Oh, this is the end of Samsung as we know it." And
no, but it's a completely different situation than see if you said, okay, let's think of it this way.
so people are sensationalizing it so much that, oh my God, they're not growing at the same breakneck pace they have been growing at.
Samsung is
Because-
massive.
Every company plateaus at some point, and I think I do feel like this is Samsung plateauing.
And you know what? If this slower growth causes them to actually make phones that I would pay money for, then it's for the better. I mean, I am waiting for that downfall, not so much because I have any bad feelings towards them, but because I think that will put them in a position where they are forced to innovate again and where they are
Like
forced to
LG.
compete again instead of
Like LG.
yeah, but LG went and did Viennese boys choir ringtones.
Hey, maybe they're really popular in Korea. Who
They
knows? We
engineered
should check.
good phones with great battery life and really
Yeah,
ergonomic devices. So.
I give LG too much of a hard time, but I just feel like Samsung needs to take a few hard knocks in order for them to start making phones that we would like to care about once again, because even the S5 for all they're talking about how much new and innovative stuff is in there. It is more of the same, and it's an enhanced Galaxy S4 that actually looks worse than the Galaxy S4. So I really don't know what's going on there.
I've also noticed a lot of my friends aren't really interested in buying Samsung phones anymore. A lot of people I know are
Everyone's
looking for
tired.
phones. Yeah, everyone's tired of that design. Everyone's also tired of, I think it's mostly that design. If they change up the design, like radically change up the design to something better, I feel like they might be able to get some people more interested in the brand.
Do
But
you do
right
you think the
now,
Galaxy do you think the Galaxy name has run its course? Do you think it's
I
just
feel like it has, I feel like it's been there, it's done that, and now people are looking to be different, not because not because of value for money, just that there's more better, like there's better phones out there right now. There a lot of people I know are buying the Nexus phones. So here's something I noticed in here in Manipal, which is a student town. A lot of people, a lot of students have the Nexus 5 over here, or the Nexus 4. And I never thought that would be a thing, but it is. So
engineers will love a
that's
Nexus device, right?
yeah, so that's interesting. Let's see. I mean, I don't know. Let's see what Samsung does. Oh, that reminds me. There's news today. I forgot to post this. I was supposed to post this today, but I'll post it tomorrow. There's a rumor that Google's Nexus phones will be replaced by Android Silver handsets, which is I
Well,
I don't know.
okay, well, okay. Look, I feel like Silver, if it is true, is what Google Play Edition is going to become. It's not going to replace Nexus because from what I hear of Silver, it and Nexus are two different things. Nexus is developer targeted hardware that is used internally to develop Android, and Google just makes some for people to generally buy, and then it becomes a thing that consumers can pick up. Google Play Edition is exactly what Silver is on the Play Store, because what Silver is, for those who haven't heard, is rumored to be top of the line devices from various Android manufacturers running software from Google, and then it will be sold in this very unique and special retail experience that Google will do in US stores, and
but here's my problem with this whole rumor.
and isn't that
Um,
what Google Play Edition is in real life?
Yeah, but this is my problem with this rumor. The Nexus is supposed to go away, and silver devices are supposed to come in. But the silver devices are supposed to be high-end devices, which means there's a huge gap in those. Where will the cheap Nexus phones be?
And have
What'll
you heard how expensive Google Play Edition devices are?
They are pretty expensive. They are pretty expensive. They're about the same price as buying the phone with
Outright unlocked.
yeah. So I don't know. It's a stupid rumor, but I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I
Moving
mean-
on to okay. Now let's move on to main topics.
Now let's yeah.
Wow, I feel like we had an entire show already. So Alvin has been using the Sony Xperia Z2, and he's had some interesting results with it in the last couple of days. What do you think of it so far, Al?
So I have the Xperia Z2 and I have high expectations of the Z2. Notwithstanding, okay, well, let me preface this by saying that I have had some issues with my unit. I'm not sure whether it's just my unit or whether it's all Z2s. I am leaning on the side of it's my unit because Sony can't have screwed up so badly on this phone, right? Because this phone, when it gets hot, it forces me to close the camera app. I mean, look, Singapore is quite a hot place, so sometimes you may want to take photos outdoors and stuff, right? Because that's what people do. But if the phone goes above a battery temperature of about 42.8 degrees Celsius or 43, then a prompt will pop up while you're in the camera app. The phone is getting too hot. Would you like to close the camera app? And the only button is yes. And even if you don't tap that button, the camera app force closes. So I'm not
I'm
sure
pretty
whether this
sure-
is something that happens to all Z2s or whether it's just this particular one.
I think it's your
Because-
particular one. But that being said, the original Xperia Z did have heating issues, so
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, this Z2 doesn't seem to heat up so much anymore. So it's just really strange that I will be facing this issue, and it's very annoying because what am I supposed to do with it? Do I get an ice pack to wrap the phone in?
Luckily, the phone is waterproof, so you
Yeah.
can.
Am I supposed to dump the phone into a river and hope it cools down, then I can continue shooting? I don't know. But that's one thing. The second thing is that again, when the phone becomes a bit hot, the touchscreen starts to behave weirdly by itself. So touch interactions start happening without me even touching the screen. And this is even after I've disabled the high sensitivity mode. So it was quite frustrating using the Z2 because of these issues that I think are probably specific to my unit, but I'm going to try getting another one to see if the same things crop up. But essentially, aside from that, this is a fantastic phone. And I'm going to say that the HTC One M8, which was the last phone that I looked at, is very good. It's excellent in many ways. But there is always the caveat of the camera and the Sense user interface. Because even though CJ loves Sense, I still think it's a more of a love it or hate it kind of thing. And I think that that as far as the Xperia Z2 is concerned, there is nothing bad that you can say about this one at all. There are no caveats. The camera is just great. It's great, but you can't really crop or zoom in or do anything. It's just great. The camera itself is the reason why you should buy this phone. It's even better than the Z1's camera in my testing because of the improved software algorithms that power it. With the Z1, it was Sony's first chance at doing a camera that does oversampling. So the Z2 takes another crack at it, and I think the results are much better.
Let me ask you the question that a lot of Sony fans, a lot of Sony anti-fans are going to ask you. What about the screen?
The screen has always been a point of contention on Sony smartphones.
Yes, that's why I asked you.
Even though I think that the screens are actually that bad, most people speak of Sony screens like they are the worst screens in the world and they should belong on an 80s typewriter. But typewriters didn't even have screens. So the Z2 is the first Sony smartphone to finally have a screen that's on the same level as HTC, Samsung, LG, and everybody else. They have arrived at last. This screen is 1080p and 5.2 inches, and for once, the viewing angles are great. It's exactly what I wanted the Z1 to be. You can see that now I'm tilting the Z2, and maybe I should crank the brightness up so that you can see it better, but as you can see, the screen retains its viewing angles even when I am almost holding the phone completely horizontal. And so when you are putting the phone on a desk, you can still view the phone screen very well and without any discoloration or washing out or anything like that, even though you are not looking at it head on. And I think that as long as Sony continues to use this screen on future devices, that the criticisms about Sony devices and screens will finally stop.
Didn't they have the same screen in the Z1 Compact? Like a screen with good viewing
I think so.
Yeah, so the Z1 Compact has the same screen but that's 720p, right? This is full HD and so it is fantastic.
I'll be honest, if I had to tell anyone which phone to buy right now, I would also pick the Z2 over everything else because it is a really, really kick-ass phone.
Yeah.
I will miss being able to say like, oh, it's a privacy feature when I really experienced it, and I was like, oh, you can't see it because it's a privacy feature, so you can only see it here.
And
it's a feature.
The Z2 has double tap to wake, but it doesn't have double tap to sleep. So you will only be able to do it one way, but then the sleep wake button is very well positioned as on all other Sony phones. It's on the right side, close to the middle, so it really isn't an issue to access the sleep wake button at all, unlike the HTC One M8 again. Now, the Z2 has dual front-facing stereo speakers. And this is where the One M8 regains some of its pride because,
Can you point out the speakers to me?
well, they are here at the one of this is
Okay.
the room, and there's another one at the bottom.
Oh, nice.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
So
they're hidden away.
so you have dual front-facing stereo speakers, but they aren't very loud. I would say that the single speaker on my Galaxy S4 is about as loud as these two speakers at maximum volume. So even though you have stereo speakers, and because of that, sound quality is actually pretty good, but I don't think you are going to like the Z2 if you are only looking for maximum volume and nothing else, because the speakers on the Z2 put out about the same maximum volume as that single rear-facing mono speaker on the Galaxy S4. It's just that you have a bit of stereo separation and a bit of richness associated with the sound that you get from the Z2, and I'm sure that when it comes to games and so on, you'll have a pretty good experience with the Z2 as well. The hardware and build quality is super. I know that we all talk about HTC and how great their designs and build quality is, but Sony's pretty much on the same level, and so what you get with the Z2 is a unibody construction made out of two sheets of glass on the front and back. No more factory supplied screen protector, which I think is a bit okay. Well, most people like it because they will be able to feel the actual feel of the glass, but for me, I'm more concerned about durability and keeping your new flagship smartphone pristine, and so I would recommend actually going to a store and getting invisible shield or something and putting it on your Z2. There is a two-tone color treatment that has been applied to the metal rim. So on the Z1, it was the first device that introduced this metal rim that runs around all four sides of the device, and now they have actually removed the plastic rim that connected the metal bit and the glass part on the Z1. So now it's just a seamless transition from the metal rim to glass. And on the black one,
I just noticed, is the 3.5mm audio jack on the side?
it's on the top, right there.
Okay, it's on the top. Okay.
Is there a specific? Is there a flap to remove it?
No, the 3.5mm audio jack is not obscured at all.
But the charging
micro USB port is though, and it's under this stack. That also gives you access to the SIM card slot.
Okay.
So, I'm very impressed with this phone. Software, apart from the issues that I've mentioned earlier, I think that if the issues didn't exist, I would actually have my SIM card in this phone right now. But because those issues do exist, I'm looking to swap this phone out for another sample so that I can see whether this is a problem that is endemic to all units or just this particular one. I have to say that this is not a small phone, it's quite large, and the bezels are quite large as well. But for those people who hate bezels and think that bezels are dumb, I can think of a very good reason after using the Samsung Galaxy S4 as to why you may want some bezels on your phone. Because
I'm sorry. I hate bezel. I hate bezel.
On the S4, you don't really have much bezels at all. It's almost all screen design, which some people like. But each time you try to tap or each time you want to grip the phone, you end up inadvertently touching something on the screen. And because that the buttons at the bottom are capacitive, I have lost count of the number of times that I've accidentally tapped the back button when I didn't mean to, or tapped the menu button when I didn't mean to, and even just while picking up the phone.
That's just, you know what, that's just Samsung doing it wrong, because on the LG G2, which is almost no bezel at all, I've never had any problems with it.
But that's also because the LG G2 has software buttons with LG screwed up because they decided to do a menu button instead of recent apps.
But I
fixed in 4.4.
That's fixed in 4.4 apparently.
Oh, that's good. Anyway, the Z2 has a lot of bezel on the top and the bottom, but I feel like that actually improves grip when you are trying to operate the camera, because there's somewhere for your thumb to rest while you operate the camera shutter button. And it does have a shutter button, which is something that I really like. I love it.
Wow, I've forgotten that still exists on phones.
It may look small,
happy to see that.
but it actually is very easy to use. It provides a lot of feedback, And because this is such an endangered species right now, I'm just happy to see it. I don't even care how the button feels. I'm just glad that it's there because it really does make taking pictures a much more enjoyable experience.
Is it a two-stage button?
Yes, it is. Half press to focus, full press to capture the shot. What else can I say about this phone? The software. I think that Sony's take on Android 4.4 is a bit of a mixed bag, and I say that because it's clear that Android 4.4 on this phone isn't as well optimized as Android 4.3 on the Xperia Z. It's kind of slow, and I don't know if again this is just my unit, but the notification shade seems to have a weird bug where I don't know whether it's a memory leak or something like that, but it tends to become sluggish after a day. And then you have to reboot the phone.
I'm pretty sure. I'm sure this is all your unit, Al, because from what you've told me, it just seems like there's something wrong with that unit.
And so
because I've read a lot of reviews and I know some people like James Watley from the Voicemail has the Xperia Z2. Nobody's actually had any issues with it so far. So.
And you can tell that it moves at a slower frame rate, right? See how long that notification shade takes to drop down. Let me do it again. It takes an age. On the S4, it just goes like zoom, like that. And so I feel like, I don't know whether this is just my unit, but I've found it to be a bit slow. But there are some UI decisions that I do question Sony on. Even though I have to say that Sony's UI is still one of the best looking Android UIs that are available, especially if you prefer a more stock-like experience. HTC looks great, but it's so far away from the stock Android experience that it puts me off a bit. For Sony's UI, what they've done with Android 4.4 is to add this persistent shortcut to the What's New app portal, hijacking the Google Now swipe up shortcut.
There's no way to remove that?
I hate it. There's no way to turn it off.
Annoying.
I hate it because Google Now, accessing Google Now used to be a very quick process, and now I have to sort of swipe diagonally in order to get there, and I have no use for What's New at all. This is just something that Samsung would have done if they had the chance to do so, because What's New...
LG has done that too. They have some quick memo shit over here.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say that, but damn it, you said it. Yeah, LG.
But Sony...
in the meanwhile, though, HTC.
Better than this.
HTC is cool. See, HTC. Everyone loves HTC. It's just the Google now.
Alright. So, another place where they've made changes is in the aforementioned notification shade. So you no longer have toggles on the
Top.
on the top.
I used to love that.
They have, yeah, I do too. It's the one thing I really like about TouchWiz. And now they've been funneled off into a quick settings pane.
Can you at least use 2 fingers down and automatically go there?
Yes, but 2 fingers is a two-handed operation, so that's not very quick.
What about swiping down from the extreme right-hand corner? Does that go directly?
No, it doesn't do the Cyanogen mod thing where you can swipe down from the right as well as swipe at the bottom in order to get the pane to flip around. So so it's actually made quick settings a bit more difficult to access because they are no longer just on the top. But and also it now looks kind of like stock Android, but then they've made the tiles a bit smaller, and so they no longer look as nice as they do in stock Android KitKat. So so that's another thing. As far as the rest of the software is concerned, I don't feel like Sony has made many changes coming.
Has the camera UI been upgraded?
The camera UI is exactly the same as what we have on the Xperia Z right now, and the Z1 of course. But there are a few new modes.
I feel like Sony's camera UI is a little bit unnecessarily complicated.
I think it's look. You haven't used Samsung's one.
Okay,
look,
so compared to Samsung, it's
I would not say that this UI is unnecessarily complicated. It's actually very logical, and I can see how now the camera doesn't want to load, so there it is. Right. Okay. Anyway, so you get the superior auto mode, which does everything for you. You get manual. Now, unlike the name, what the name suggests, you still don't have many manual controls. You can change the scene mode. There are the usual assortments of them. You can change the exposure, the white balance. You can change the HDR on and off. ISO,
Any
image
chance of focus?
stabilization. No,
Yeah.
no shutter speed or aperture or anything like that. So I have to say that I'm still partial to the camera add on the HTC One M8 because I still feel that that is the best that's available right now. But I don't think Sony's UI is as confusing as CJ thinks it is. Obviously, he has not tried using the camera on the Galaxy S4. There's a 4K video mode, as I mentioned just now. The Z2 is perfectly capable of recording 4K video, and if you go to my YouTube channel, you can see a video sample there. 4K video.
Of course, your screen probably wouldn't have 4K resolution, so it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because, well, I don't have a 4K screen. The Xperia Z2 has a 1080p display, and all I can do with 4K video is to put it on YouTube so that I get a fancy 4K badge. So and 4K video is quite large. I shot a video that is, let's see, I shot a video that is less than 1 minute long, and let me just see how big it is. I'm just navigating Sony's.
A 1 minute video would be, I think, about 600 MB or something.
500 MB, 470.
There
So it's pretty large. If you don't use a micro SD card with this phone, you are going to fill out the 16 GB of internal storage in no time.
I am never uploading a 4K camera sample for anybody. I'm just going to say that right now. On my internet connection.
Okay. Can I button? On the LG G Flex, a 30-second video just takes 100 MB, so their compression is better for 4K.
Yeah.
It's 200 MB per minute.
So the resolution of the camera by default is 8 megapixels. So as I mentioned just now, the Z2 also does oversampling. So actually, it's quite interesting because when you take a photo and you instantly preview it in the gallery, the oversampling takes a second. So when you open the image in the preview box, it actually looks, quite average for a second. Then it suddenly enhances and it suddenly becomes so much more clear and so much more colorful. So that's.
Can you do pure view kind of zooming?
Yes, you can. So it has lossless digital zoom even in photos. And when I pinch to zoom, you can see that the zoom slider has 2 stages. So as long as I keep within this range, it's lossless. As I go beyond that, it's no longer lossless.
Nice.
So yeah, the camera is just fantastic. Don't bother with HTC's One M8 ultra pixel thing. This is just great with no caveats. No caveats. There's no excuses that you have to make for it. The camera is just great, and even though it doesn't provide you with as many manual controls, it makes up for it by giving you features such as time shift video, which allows you to record high frame rate video and do slow motion stuff right from the phone. It has the background defocus feature, which we are all familiar with, AR effect, creative effect info, time shift burst, social life, sweep panorama, and even hooks in with Evernote. So if you have an Evernote account, you can switch to that camera mode and instantly capture pictures into your Evernote account.
Also, Sony has the handy lenses add-on feature similar to Windows Phone, where you can go to the Play Store and download, like, I think there's 70, 80 different options.
Yeah, so that's pretty great as well. What else can I say about this phone? Snapdragon 801.
How's the glass at the back, the front? Is the Gorilla Glass 3?
So here's what when the Z1 Compact was released, there was a lot of hoo-ha over the fact that the Z1 Compact's back panel was plastic, not glass. With the Z2, I don't know if it's
definitely glass.
Is it? Yeah.
Because when you go into a cold room, the glass becomes cold to the touch. So it's definitely a glass back panel. And yes, I believe that the front is Gorilla Glass. I'm not sure about the back though. So, like I said earlier, the Z2 no longer comes with factory supplied screen protectors and back panel protectors. So if you are
Are you
interested,
sure? Because they're applied really well sometimes. You have to look really
yeah,
carefully to make out.
they made a big deal about saying that it doesn't come with those protectors anymore. So, so if you care about scratches, and you want to keep your phone as pristine for as long as possible, you should get a clear film that attaches to the front and the back.
Last thing, is the front-facing camera wide angle?
No, it's
Oh.
2.2 megapixel, but it's not wide angle, and so
See, this
HTC.
is funny because if you want a great selfie phone, the HTC One M8 is pretty much the best thing to get right now for its front-facing camera.
I disagree. The Gioni E7 has an 8 megapixel front-facing camera.
Okay, you need to review that thing so I know about it because I have no idea about it right now. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the smartband.
Yeah. So
I was really interested in the smartband.
the
And I like
smartband is fantastic. I've had it for a day. And thanks Sony because this is mine to keep. But the smartband. So I'm going to take it off so that you can see it better. And it's a pretty rubbery band that is useless if you don't have the core module attached. So this is where the hardware is all collected. So it's a very modular design which I like because it means that you can easily swap the color of your band. You can get multiple ones and swap them. So if you fancy a pink one, you can just get a pink one and swap your existing module into it. You don't have to get an all new band. So that also means that if the band wears out, as I'm sure it will, you can also swap it out.
That's brilliant, by the way. I love that about it. I really think that's cool because that way you can at least buy different bands for your different occasions or whatever.
So and it also means that this one module will allow you to track your fitness and activity in more form factors than just this wristband, because this wristband is just one possible way that this can look. But during the presentation, Sony also pointed out that we can have designs that integrate with your shoe. There are designs that you can hang around your neck, stuff like that. So with this single module, they are opening the door to more innovation going forward in terms of wearable form factors. And
is it waterproof?
Yes, completely waterproof, even though the micro USB port is exposed. So they have managed to do this. They have managed to make something that has an exposed micro USB port that is waterproof. So I can't wait for the next Xperia phone that will come out.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking about.
That's so weird that they would. Yeah, I mean that's interesting. So I look forward to hearing what you think about the smartband. Let's not give away the plot just yet. But yeah, a huge episode this week, as you can tell. And we're covering it on a Thursday. Wow! I hope nothing big happens tomorrow or day after. So yes, that's about it. Thanks for watching, everybody. I know it's a little bit early compared to usual, but the post will still go up. Should we post it now? Or should we? We've already posted it now, but I'll repost it again on Sunday so that you guys can catch it up. Thanks for watching. As always, we like your feedback. Let us know what you think. I should also say that we are looking into getting an audio version of the show. We're just looking for a host right now. I was supposed to finish off this week, but I had too many things to review, unfortunately. And I say that as somebody who has lesser things to review now than usual. So we're definitely looking forward to doing that. I am aiming to complete that by the end of the coming week. So our next episode should have an audio-only version. Let's see. Thanks for watching. As always, you can follow Alvin, Atif, and me at the Twitter links below. Thanks for joining me on this amazing show where we got to talk about mobile phone use. And that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you next week. I'm gonna push the button. See ya.
Bye.